Welcome back to the channel, coin enthusiasts and collectors. Today, we dive into the fascinating world of British coinage, focusing on one of the most iconic and historically rich denominations, the sixpence. Once a small silver coin used daily across the United Kingdom, the sixpence carries centuries of tradition, royal portraits, and rare varieties that now fetch big money at auctions. In this video, we will explore the most valuable top 6 United Kingdom sixpence coins in different conditions. From early silver issues to rare mint errors, these coins are highly sought after by collectors and can command impressive values in today's market. So, let's begin this journey into the hidden treasures of British numismatics. So let's get started. First up, we will dive deep into the story of the 1949 sixpence coin, a small silver-colored piece that has become a favorite among collectors worldwide. Although modest in size and once just everyday pocket change, this coin now holds historical importance and a surprising market value, especially when found in collectible conditions. We will look at its background, unique design features, rarity, demand, and the prices it commands in today's auction market in dollars. The 1949 sixpence belongs to the reign of King George VI, who ruled from 1936 until 1952. His coins are often marked with the abbreviation G6R, which stands for George's Sixth Rex, meaning George VI, King. During this post-war period, the United Kingdom was still recovering from the Second World War, and coinage production was influenced by economic challenges and changes in metal usage. The sixpence had been a traditional denomination since the Tudor era, and by 1949, it was made of copper-nickel instead of silver, as Britain had already moved away from using precious metals in everyday coinage. Despite being common currency at the time, the 1949 issue now holds a special place in numismatics due to its limited survival in good condition. The obverse, or front side, of the coin features the portrait of King George VI, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, one of the most respected coin designers of the 20th century. Surrounding the portrait is the legend Georgiev's 6D, G, BR, OMN, REX, which translates to George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons. The reverse side carries a crowned monogram design, showcasing the intertwined letters G and are beneath a Tudor crown, symbolizing George Rex, or King George. The date, 1949, is placed below, with the denomination sixpence clearly written. Its small, detailed design makes it a standout coin for its era. Measuring 19 millimeters in diameter and struck in copper-nickel, it has a distinctive silvery shine, though many surviving examples today appear toned or worn due to circulation. Although millions of sixpences were minted in 1949, very few have survived in fine condition or higher due to heavy everyday use. Coins from this period were rarely stored away as keepsakes, meaning most were used until they became badly worn. Today, finding a 1949 sixpence with clear details of the portrait, crown, and lettering is increasingly difficult. Collectors seek it not only for its age and historical connection to George VI, but also because it represents a transitional era before Queen Elizabeth II's coinage began in 1953. The combination of modest availability, historical appeal, and nostalgic value has created high demand among British and international collectors. When it comes to value, the 1949 sixpence in fine condition can surprise many collectors. In auctions and coin markets, such examples typically sell between $65,000, depending on eye appeal and demand. However, higher-grade specimens, especially those in extremely fine or uncirculated condition, can command prices of $120,000 at auction. Rare certified examples graded by professional coin services often fetch even higher amounts. This shows how a simple sixpence once worth just half a shilling has now transformed into a collectible piece worth many times its original face value. If you are looking to collect the 1949 sixpence, pay close attention to the condition of the coin. Fine condition should show clear outlines of the king's head and readable inscriptions, though some were as expected. Coins with less will naturally attract stronger prices. Always handle your coins carefully, preferably with cotton gloves, and store them in acid-free holders to prevent further deterioration. When buying, consider reputable dealers or established auction houses, as they provide more reliable guarantees of authenticity. For long-term investment, try to secure higher-grade examples, as they tend to appreciate more quickly in value over time. The United Kingdom 1949 sixpence may be small in size, but it carries a wealth of history, beauty, and collector appeal. From its ties to King George VI in the post-war era to its elegant crown monogram design, this coin represents far more than its original spending power. In today's numismatic market, even a fine condition example has a respectable value in dollars, making it a worthy addition to any serious collection. Whether you are just starting your coin journey or already an experienced collector, the 1949 sixpence is a piece of British history that deserves recognition and preservation. Next up, we'll be focusing on a small but historically important piece of British coinage, the United Kingdom's sixpence of 1950, in very fine condition. While the sixpence may seem like an ordinary coin from the past, the 1950 issue holds a fascinating story and continues to attract serious attention in the collector's market. From its royal symbolism to its silver composition and its growing scarcity, this coin is far more valuable than many might expect. Let's uncover why the 1950 sixpence is worth big money in today's auction market. The 1950 sixpence was struck under the reign of King George VI, whose royal cipher, G6R, appears on the coin. George VI ruled from 1936 to 1952 and oversaw an important transitional period in British history, including the difficult years after the Second World War. During this time, British coinage underwent changes in design, production, and even metal composition. The sixpence itself had been a traditional coin of the United Kingdom since the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century, and by 1950, it was an everyday denomination still trusted by the public. However, the early post-war years meant fewer coins were produced compared to earlier decades, making the 1950 sixpence scarcer today. The 1950 sixpence is crafted from 50% silver and 50% copper-nickel alloy, a blend that gives it both durability and a touch of precious metal appeal. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of King George VI, crowned with a simple dignity that reflects his reign. Around the edge, the inscription reads Georgievs 6D, G, BR, OMN, Rex Fidei Def, meaning George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, defender of the faith. On the reverse, the coin showcases the intertwined monogram G6R beneath a crown, along with the date 1950 and the denomination sixpence. This classic and elegant design makes it easily recognizable among collectors and a favorite piece of mid-20th century British coinage. Although millions of sixpence coins were produced over the years, the 1950 issue is comparatively harder to find in higher grades such as very fine, extremely fine, or uncirculated. Everyday circulation and post-war economic struggles meant many of these coins were heavily used, leaving fewer well-preserved examples for today's collectors. This is exactly what increases demand. Coin enthusiasts and serious numismatists are always on the lookout for 1950 sixpences in clean, sharp condition, making this date a desirable addition to any British coin collection. Its combination of silver content, historical significance, and relatively low survival rates has cemented its position as a collectible treasure. When it comes to market value, the 1950 sixpence in very fine condition has been known to sell at auctions for prices significantly higher than its original face value. Depending on rarity and condition, these coins can range anywhere from $175,000 in today's market, with higher grades such as extremely fine or uncirculated sometimes fetching several $1,000,000 at major numismatic auctions. Collectors in the United Kingdom, the United States, and beyond continue to push demand upward, ensuring that the 1950 sixpence remains a strong investment for coin enthusiasts. If you are interested in adding a 1950 sixpence to your collection, there are several important tips to keep in mind. Always verify authenticity, as replicas and clean coins are sometimes mistaken for genuine pieces. Check the condition carefully. Coins in very fine or better condition hold the greatest value. Storing the coin properly, preferably in a protective holder, is also essential to maintain its luster and prevent further wear. Finally, consider following major coin auctions or reputable dealers, as they often present opportunities to purchase these coins at competitive prices while guaranteeing authenticity. The United Kingdom sixpence of 1950, especially in very fine condition, represents far more than just an old coin. It is a piece of post-war history, a symbol of King George VI's reign, and a shining example of British coinage artistry. With its silver content, scarcity, and strong collector demand, it continues to command impressive prices at auctions, sometimes reaching millions of dollars. For anyone passionate about numismatics, the 1950 sixpence is a must-have coin that connects history, rarity, and lasting value. Next up, we're diving into one of Britain's classic post-war coins, the United Kingdom sixpence from the year 1948. This small silver-colored coin may look ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it represents a fascinating piece of history, rarity, and real value in the auction market. And what makes today's discussion more interesting is that we're focusing on a piece in lightly fine condition, which still holds a significant place in the numismatic world. The sixpence has been part of British coinage since the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century, but by 1948, it had already become a familiar coin in everyday life. This particular coin was issued under the reign of King George VI, often abbreviated as George Rex Imperator. Post-war Britain was still rebuilding after World War II, and coin production was vital for maintaining the economy. The 1948 sixpence was struck in cupronickel rather than silver, reflecting the economic conditions of the time, since precious metals were scarce and expensive. This change also marked the transition of British coinage into a more modern, cost-effective era. The 1948 sixpence carries the crown monogram of King George VI, the letters GRI, standing for George Rex Imperator, surrounded by the denomination and date. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of King George VI facing left, with the legend Georgievs 6D, G, BR, OMN, REX inscribed around. The coin is composed of cupronickel, weighing about 2.83 grams and measuring 19.3 millimeters in diameter. Even in lightly fine condition, these details remain visible, though with light, where that tells the story of its circulation. While millions of sixpence coins were minted during this period, the 1948 issue holds a special place because of its historical context and the fact that fewer high-grade examples have survived. Many were heavily circulated, and only a small number remain in collectible condition today. A lightly fine condition coin is not mint state, but it is still desirable because it maintains key design elements without excessive wear. Collectors seek the 1948 sixpence both as part of King George VI's coinage series and for its significance in post-war Britain. Its demand has grown steadily as numismatists and history enthusiasts look to complete sets of sixpence coins spanning different monarchs. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part, the auction market value. In lightly fine condition, the 1948 sixpence doesn't reach the astronomical sums of extremely rare coins, but it still commands respectable prices. At various online auctions and coin sales, lightly fine examples can sell between $76,000 depending on demand and buyer interest. However, higher grades like extremely fine or uncirculated can fetch much higher, sometimes climbing over $150,000. What makes this coin particularly interesting is how its modest face value has transformed into a collectible piece worth many times more in the global numismatic market. If you're looking to add a 1948 sixpence to your collection, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, pay close attention to the coin's condition. Even in lightly fine condition, ensure the portrait of King George VI is clear and the date remains readable. Second, always check for authenticity. Counterfeit coins are rare for this denomination, but still possible. Third, store the coin properly in a protective holder to prevent further wear and tarnishing. Finally, keep an eye on auction sites and numismatic forums, as prices can fluctuate depending on collector demand. Building a complete set of George VI sixpences can be both rewarding and historically meaningful. To sum it up, the United Kingdom's sixpence of 1948 in lightly fine condition is more than just a small cupronickel coin. It reflects the history of post-war Britain, carries the legacy of King George VI, and holds genuine value for collectors. While it may not be the rarest coin in existence, its charm lies in its accessibility, historical significance, and steady demand in the auction market. Whether you're a beginner collector or a seasoned numismatist, this coin is a worthy addition to any collection. Next up, the United Kingdom's sixpence of 1958, particularly when found in very fine condition. While millions of sixpence coins were struck and circulated across Britain during the 20th century, certain dates and well-preserved examples stand out for their rarity and high demand among collectors worldwide. So, let's uncover the fascinating story behind this coin, its design, historical context, and the impressive value it can bring in today's auction market. The sixpence coin, often lovingly referred to as a tanner in British slang, was a staple of UK coinage for centuries. The 1958 sixpence belongs to the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had only recently taken the throne in 1952. By 1958, the United Kingdom was still in a transitional phase after World War II, and coinage reflected both tradition and modernization. This coin was minted in copper nickel, as silver had already been removed from circulating British coins in 1947 due to economic challenges. Despite this, the sixpence continued to hold sentimental value, especially as it was commonly used in everyday transactions and even carried cultural significance, such as being placed in Christmas puddings or used in wedding traditions for luck. The 1958 sixpence showcases a striking design that makes it immediately recognizable. On the obverse side, we see the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This early portrait is famous for its elegance and simplicity, featuring the queen without a crown, symbolizing her youthful reign and connection with her people. On the reverse side, the coin displays a highly detailed design by herald painter Edgar Fuller and sculptor Cecil Thomas, which combines a Tudor rose, Scottish thistle, Irish shamrock, and Welsh leek, all united beneath a crown. This design was a powerful emblem of unity across the four nations of the United Kingdom. With a diameter of about 19 millimeters and weighing 2.83 grams, the sixpence of 1958 is compact, but its artistry speaks volumes. Although the sixpence was produced in large numbers for circulation, finding a 1958 example in very fine condition is not as easy as one might think. The reason is simple. These coins were heavily used in everyday trade, and most surviving pieces are found in worn, damaged, or corroded condition. A coin graded very fine shows only moderate wear, with the details of the queen's portrait and the floral reverse design still sharp and attractive. Collectors place high demand on coins from the earlier years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, as they represent the beginning of a new monarch's era. The 1958 sixpence in particular has become desirable for enthusiasts who focus on mid-20th century British coinage, as well as those completing full-date runs of sixpences. Now let's talk about the exciting part: the coin's market value. A circulated 1958 sixpence in average worn condition may only fetch a small sum, often between $58,000. However, once you move into higher grades like very fine condition, the story changes significantly. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for sharp examples, and prices can rise anywhere from $75,000 depending on the coin's eye appeal, originality, and absence of damage. In auction houses and online bidding platforms, pristine examples approaching extremely fine or about uncirculated have even achieved prices exceeding $162,000, especially when certified by reputable grading services. This shows that condition is key, and the jump in value between an average circulated piece and a very fine one is remarkable. If you are looking to add the 1958 sixpence to your collection, here are a few tips. First, always pay attention to the condition. Coins in very fine or better grades are far more valuable than those in poor condition, so take time to examine the portrait details and reverse design closely. Second, consider buying coins that have been professionally graded, as this provides assurance of authenticity and condition. Third, store your coins properly in acid-free holders or albums to preserve their surfaces from tarnishing. Finally, keep an eye on auction listings and online marketplaces, where rare condition pieces occasionally appear and can be excellent investments. The United Kingdom's sixpence of 1958 in very fine condition is more than just a small piece of metal. It represents a slice of British history, the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, and the enduring charm of traditional coinage. Its rarity in high grades and growing demand among collectors has elevated its market value well beyond its original face value, making it a fascinating treasure for anyone passionate about numismatics. So, if you ever come across a 1958 sixpence in good condition, don't overlook it. It could be worth much more than you think. Next up, we'll be focusing on a fascinating piece of British numismatic history: the United Kingdom's sixpence coin of 1956, specifically in fine condition. While at first glance, it might seem like just another small silver-colored coin, the 1956 sixpence actually holds remarkable historical value, collector appeal, and surprising worth in today's auction market, especially when well-preserved. You'll know exactly why this coin has become a prized possession for many coin enthusiasts and why its demand continues to grow year after year. The sixpence, also affectionately called a tanner, had a long history in British coinage, dating back to the 16th century under the reign of Edward VI. For centuries, it was a popular denomination, widely used in everyday transactions. The 1956 sixpence was issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, only 4 years after she ascended the throne in 1952. This makes it one of the earlier issues of her reign, carrying immense historical significance. Made from a copper-nickel alloy, the 1956 issue came at a time when Britain was adjusting to post-war recovery, with a growing economy and an evolving society. It also marked the final years before the great coinage changes leading up to decimalization in 1971, making it a coin that links tradition with modernization in British money. The design of the 1956 sixpence is both elegant and symbolic. On the obverse side, it features the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This youthful effigy shows the Queen wearing a laurel wreath, a classical and timeless representation of monarchy that was used on coins from 1953 to 1970. The reverse side showcases the iconic design by William Gardner, with a floral motif representing the four nations of the United Kingdom, a rose for England, a thistle for Scotland, a shamrock for Ireland, and a leek for Wales, all tied together beneath the crown. This symbolic arrangement highlighted unity across the kingdom, making the design deeply patriotic and highly collectible. The inscription reads, FID Def Sixpence 1956, a classic layout of the era. Although the sixpence was a very common circulating coin in the 1950s, not all years are equally sought after. The 1956 issue stands out because it was minted in lower numbers compared to earlier post-war issues, and fewer examples survive today in good condition. Most coins from this period endured heavy circulation, which means finding one in fine condition or above is becoming increasingly difficult. Collectors are especially keen on 1950s sixpence coins because they represent the beginning of Queen Elizabeth II's long reign, which adds historic appeal. Furthermore, sets of sixpence coins from the 1950s are often incomplete without the 1956 edition, increasing its desirability on the collector's market. Now, let's talk about value, the part that excites every coin enthusiast. In fine condition, the 1956 United Kingdom sixpence may look modest, but at auctions and among private collectors, it can fetch prices much higher than its face value. Currently, its value ranges between $120,000 in fine condition, with higher grades such as very fine, extremely fine, or uncirculated examples selling for $200,000 or more depending on rarity and demand. In recent auctions, particularly well-preserved examples have even gone beyond these estimates when competitive bidding took place. It's clear that this coin is no longer just small change. It's a genuine collector's item with strong market recognition. If you're interested in owning the 1956 sixpence, here are a few tips. Always pay close attention to condition. A coin in fine grade is desirable, but higher grades will always appreciate more in value. Look for coins with sharp details on the Queen's portrait and the floral reverse design with minimal wear. It's also wise to purchase from reputable dealers or trusted auction houses to avoid counterfeits. Storing the coin properly, preferably in a coin capsule or album, will help maintain its condition and preserve its market value. For serious collectors, assembling a complete set of Queen Elizabeth II sixpence coins from the 1950s can be an exciting challenge that adds both historical and financial value to your collection. The United Kingdom's sixpence of 1956 in fine condition may seem like a small coin, but it carries enormous historical significance, strong collector demand, and a growing presence in the auction market. Its early association with Queen Elizabeth II, elegant design, and increasing rarity make it a standout piece for any collection. Next up, we are focusing on a very special piece, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from 1953 in circulation, fine condition. Although at first glance it may seem like just another mid-20th century coin, this sixpence carries a story of tradition, historical change, and growing collector interest. You'll understand why the 1953 sixpence has become an attractive collectible in the numismatic world, and how it continues to bring impressive value at auctions in dollars. The year 1953 was a remarkable moment in British history, as it marked the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. To celebrate this historic event, a full coinage series was struck bearing the brand-new portrait of the young queen. Among them was the sixpence coin, which had been in circulation since the 16th century, but was now carrying the first ever definitive portrait of Elizabeth II. The sixpence itself had a long and beloved place in British life, used in daily trade, tucked into Christmas puddings as a symbol of good luck, and given as wedding tokens. By 1953, the coin was struck in cupronickel rather than silver, following the metal changes of the post-war period. This was both a cost-saving decision and a reflection of Britain's economy during the early reign of the Queen. The 1953 sixpence coin stands out with several distinctive features. On the obverse, it displays the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. Unlike later portraits, this one shows the Queen uncrowned, with a youthful and graceful appearance, symbolizing a fresh new era for the monarchy. The reverse is equally striking, featuring a floral design that combines a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. This design by William Gardner highlights the unity of the United Kingdom. The coin was struck in cupronickel, with a diameter of 19.41 millimeters and a weight of 2.83 grams. Its simple yet elegant design, along with its coronation connection, makes it an appealing piece for collectors even today. While millions of sixpence coins were produced during the mid-20th century, the 1953 issue holds a special place due to its coronation association. Unlike earlier dates, this was the very first sixpence to carry Elizabeth II's image, making it historically important. In fine circulated condition, The coin may show signs of wear, smoothing of details on the queen's portrait and the floral design, but it still retains its charm and collector appeal. The rarity comes not from an extremely low mintage, but rather from the demand among collectors who want to own a piece of Britain's coronation history. This means competition at auctions can be strong, particularly for well-preserved examples, which are becoming harder to find as time passes. Now let's talk about value. In fine circulated condition, the 1953 sixpence does not command astronomical prices like some ultra-rare gold or error coins. However, it still performs well in the collector's market because of its coronation link. Depending on the buyer and auction, a circulated fine condition example generally sells between $167,000. Coins in higher grades, especially uncirculated pieces, can fetch much more, sometimes ranging from $250,000 or more, depending on demand. While not the most expensive coin in the British series, its steady auction performance shows that collectors are willing to pay for this small but meaningful piece of history. If you're interested in adding the 1953 sixpence to your collection, here are a few tips. First, pay attention to condition. Even small differences in grade can make a big difference in value. Coins with clear details on the queen's portrait and minimal wear on the floral reverse will always be more desirable. Second, check for original luster and avoid overly cleaned examples, as harsh cleaning can damage the coin's surfaces. Third, when buying at auction or from dealers, be sure to verify authenticity and avoid counterfeits or replicas. Finally, try to build a set of Elizabeth II's early coinage. Owning the sixpence alongside the penny, half-crown, and other denominations from 1953 can significantly enhance the value of your collection. The United Kingdom's sixpence from 1953 may be small in size, but it carries big historical importance. Struck for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, it represents the beginning of a new royal era and the continuation of a coin that had been loved for centuries. In fine circulated condition, it remains affordable yet collectible, with auction values showing steady demand in dollars. For collectors of British coins, it is a must-have piece, one that connects history, tradition, and numismatic value all in one. So, if you ever come across a 1953 sixpence, don't overlook it. This little coin might just be a shining addition to your collection. Thanks for joining this exploration. If you enjoyed the deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more stories behind coins. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next find shine with history.